Hey everybody, AZ Badfish here. Welcome back to PrimeFools. Man, I am excited to be back on the server. It's been a few days for me, you guys. I've been away on business, and I'm back home now. And some pretty important things have happened since I've been away. So one of the things is that we've actually finally moved the server again, I think for the last time, hopefully. We've actually moved it a couple times, and we just moved it again. So the downside to that, of course, is that your journey map resets, which kind of stinks. I was hoping that that would be stored locally, but I guess it's stored on the server, so that's no good. But yeah, so we'll have to start re-exploring, and of course as we re-explore, we'll technically be generating new terrain for the server, even though we've already seen it ourselves. So may be a bit laggy, but I don't know. Supposedly this server is pretty sweet, so we'll have to go check it out. The other thing that's changed, big change, 2.2.4 FoolCraft, you guys, to the fluid cows, they are now mini moos, and I don't know if it's the same mod, if it's a different mod. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that they're super cute. I love the coloring on them, and I think it's great that Wayla can interact with them in a good way so that we can see, without having to name tag them, what they are. So it appears that they are all at least still the same type of cow, right, that I had before. These are all guys that were already in here. So that is pretty cool. There does seem to be a problem though, and I've been watching this for a bit. This isn't working. The rancher does not seem to be able to use a bucket on these cows. So I can still use a bucket on the cow, right? Click on the cow, get a meat bucket. Great. But the rancher does not seem to be able to do that the way it was before. What it wants to do now, of course, is just fill up its internal buffer. Now this has been sitting here for a while. If I empty this out, it'll probably be something else that comes in. But once it gets, it can only hold one type of item, right? So once it gets liquid XP in there, the only other type of item it can accept is liquid XP, and that's because it's not using the buckets. And I don't know if that's just a really simple problem. Maybe it's an update to the rancher. Maybe the rancher can no longer directly output into the chest, so it can't use the bucket because it has nowhere to put the bucket. So I wonder if that's what the problem is. It could be something simple like that, and we can test that quite easily. Yeah, that chest is empty. Oh, and there's not going to be any noise in here. Remember, I've got this sound muffler. So if that's weirding you out, then sorry about that. But if I just put the chest right here for now, then we'll go and grab our item conduit from right here. Now once I have this item conduit, I'm going to I want to, I think, remove that one for now. So I'm actually going to take the facade out and everything, just because I want to test here. So we'll click that on, extract, always active, insert, and now it just moves the empty buckets. So it does not seem to be able to use the buckets. Oh, you know what? That's kind of dumb. Hold on. Do I have any... I don't believe I have any item filters in here, so I can make some. Oh, in between episodes, you guys, I have actually hooked up the ME system. I've run the cable all the way from the main computers up top and down under the ground. It pokes up here, and I get a crafting terminal, so I have full access to my system, as well as I've hooked up a storage bus underneath this drawer controller and hooked it up there. So this system now works just like the system for our mystical agriculture stuff, so I can actually access all of those blocks from in here. So I've got, you know, my conductive iron, my enderium, my pulsating iron, solarium, stuff like that. So that's pretty sweet. What was I doing? I was making something. Item filter. That's what it was. Oh, I've got one. Okay. So I've got one. Is it empty? We'll clear it out just to be sure. So I'll click on here, put an item filter, and I want to blacklist empty buckets. So do not extract empty buckets. and then we'll grab our empty buckets, and that's supposed to be a water bucket, but I lost my water due to some testing. Now, does this help? It's got a place to put the buckets. We'll wait for the idle timer to finish out, and then hopefully we'll see a bucket. No, it's not able to do that. So it doesn't seem to matter that it doesn't have a place to put the buckets. So that's unfortunate. So that means our options here are pretty limited, right? Like I could run just a straight up fluid conduit out and replace all these item conduits, fluid conduits, and these fluid tanks and everything, but that is a terrible idea because if we look at these here, these fluid conduits do not have a filter of any kind, and they are I would consider just a dumb pipe. Like these item conduits, because of the way the mechanics of the Ender IO stuff works, they end up being smart pipes, and that basically means okay, for example, this Enderium block, if you look under here, underneath the effective tool, it says Enderium block 32 times 64. That's how much is in there. So that means I have 32 stacks, and right underneath that it says the stack limit is 32. So this thing is full. I've also got a void upgrade in here, which destroys excess items. So this drawer is still able to receive Enderium blocks, but since it's full, it will just void them all. Now, this whole system is locked, both with the key to actually lock them and by the fact that they've all got items in them. The lock is basically, since I've got it hooked up here, if I ever empty this for whatever reason, it will still, the drawer will still only accept that same item. Likewise, if there was an empty drawer here, putting an item into here would not put that item in the drawer. So the key locks are pretty important, but also the fact that they've all got items in them. So basically, the difference between what I mean a dumb pipe and a smart pipe is that if I were to remove, for example, this void upgrade in the Enderium drawer, this casting basin, which is what the slice is for Enderium, would not have anywhere to put a finished block. So that block would just stay there. It wouldn't just hang out in the system. As opposed to a fluid pipe, where if I were to set this up, the fluid pipe would go down the first one. So like say the first one was manulin, like this is, we'd get a bit of manulin, maybe like 1,000 millibuckets in this casting basin, and then the next bit of fluid that comes through would still sit in this pipe, but it wouldn't actually be able to go in here. So say it's gold or something, we'll just have liquid gold hanging out in this pipe, and then the next batch of manulin won't be able to get in here. It'll end up in some other random casting basin, and all we have is a terrible time, nothing works, and it's awful. So obviously, regular fluid pipes is not going to work. I could possibly try a mechanical user, because what I can do is take a bucket and just right-click on this rancher and pull directly from its internal storage. The problem with that method is that I can still only do one thing at a time. However, I am a bit curious to see. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I was trying to shift-click that. I am curious to see what would happen if I were to empty this and then have a mechanical user click a bucket out every single time it had stuff in here to remove. I wonder if I could still get more than one at a time out of the rancher, because that's really what I'm trying to do. If I'm not able to somehow get buckets of fluid out of this rancher at a reasonable rate, I'm going to have to switch from using this kind of setup entirely to having each cow in its own separate kind of holding area and its own mechanical user, which is not something I really want to do. But this is kind of OP. I mean, it's super easy to build, and yeah. So I guess I don't mind. It'll be fun. So let me see. Do I have a mechanical user in here? I think I do. Oh, I don't. Weird. Okay, mechanical user. Let's get up here. Now I want to go ahead. We'll move this over here. And then I'll place the mechanical user like that. No, because I want it kind of facing. How am I gonna do this? Yep, alright, that worked. Cool, now I can pick this up again. So, now our mechanical user is facing into this guy. Now this says it runs on grid power? That's pretty cool. I've got a bunch of grid power. I mean, I've got plenty, so, alright, more power to you, bud. What do I need to do for this? So, I need to, first, let's get my item conduits. Item conduit, bam. Alright, I want you to extract, but you're blacklisting empty buckets. So do not extract empty buckets and insert them into here. Now this is obviously not ideal setup. I just want to test if it's able to get the empty buckets out and what it's going to look like when it's done. I am pretty sure that this will work, right? I am pretty sure that I'll be able to empty this out. What I'm curious about is, you know, what happens when I've got enough in here. So generic, click, I want entity, right click, upper left slot only. Is that how it works? Always on? So in theory, does this have stuff in it? It does. So mechanical user, not taking stuff. Generic click, I mean it's a right click with the bucket. Use item on block. Nope. Activate block with item. There we go. So that was able to pull this out. But what I'm curious about now is the rancher. Like, is the rancher able to get a bunch of stuff at once? Yeah, look at that. So it was able to get two things in one go. Now that is actually maybe because we're full up on buckets. Okay. Okay, so let's empty these out. Alright, so I've replaced the buckets. And nice. That's what I wanted to see. So this is still going to work with a slight modification. And now I've got all of these buckets in here. So what I'll have to do is basically set this up so that this chest was in a similar position to last time. But I need the empty buckets to be returned to this guy. So I think what I'll do is I'll set up another filter here and then just basically connect the one that I had under there back to this chest. Alright, so I've made a few adjustments here. I've got my conduit so you can see through the facade, but right, we've still got this guy here. So he's on extract doing the same thing, pulling everything that's not an empty bucket. And he's got no buckets, which is actually concerning me. So he's taking buckets of stuff from the rancher, dropping it in this chest. This chest, if I switch back to my item conduits, we can see through the facades. This chest is pulling those items and dumping it into this item stream. Now, those buckets should, in theory, be being dumped off into their, respective fluid tanks and then being brought back to being insert into this guy, this mechanical user. But I'm wondering if maybe items can't be inserted into it from the bottom. I hope that's not the case. Because I don't actually know where my buckets are right now. I bet you if we look in here, we're going to find a few empty buckets. Maybe. No? Alright, so there's no empty buckets in here. I am wondering if maybe what I need to do is... Okay, so this is always active. Now I'm going to stick a thing in there, and I need to make another one. Alright, got a basic item filter, got a bucket. What was I doing? I want to adjust this guy. So I want to extract, always active, but I do not want it to take out empty buckets. However, I also don't want it to be on extract. I want it to be on in-out. So insert should only be empty buckets. So we're whitelisting empty buckets. Yeah, let's hop up there and see what we got in the chest now. No. So where are the buckets going? Are they going in the rancher? They are. Okay. That was kind of freaking me out for a second. Alright. So does that mean I've got... Alright, so I actually don't need any item conduit underneath the rancher. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to... Okay, you know what I can do? I can do this. I can say... Click on it. Alright, good. So it's on insert, whitelisting empty buckets. Of course, that's why that was happening. We don't need it to insert anything into here, so I can just disable it. Done. I don't need any interaction with Ender.io. It's just going to come up now, up through there. So now I need to grab those buckets from out of the rancher. Oopsie. And if I put them, you know what? Let's we could say a random slot. No, it should, yeah, I guess random slot. Okay, so now let's watch this rancher and see. Oh, a little bit of lag spike there. Yeah, so now it's just pumping through these. Good. I was worried. I was worried I was gonna have to make a whole other setup for this. Okay. Yeah, all this stuff appears to be working as well. So that's pretty sweet. Alright, so now that that's all sorted out, I think what I want to do is get a permanent platform for these guys. It doesn't need to be that big, and I'm kind of figuring out, where do I want it to go? So I kind of, if I line it up here and kind of line it up diagonally here, about here is kind of where the platform would go if I wanted to line it up on the corner, right? And that's not great because the cows are mostly, over in that area. But I could make it work, I suppose, run whatever Ender.io conduits I need down there, between the mechanical user and the stuff down below. It would just kind of go down and then over. And then if I made it big enough, I could maybe get a elevator block down there below and have an elevator on the side. I don't know that I really want to do that though. The corner over here is like over this lake or something, so that's pretty much a no. If I did it off the center though, I could be pretty close. And then having a platform that came out a little bit, I think that could work. And I was thinking about this actually, if I were to do something similar on this side, right? I have another small platform out here. I could have a small platform for my Botania stuff over here, and that could work out pretty well. I'm not sure the best way, looking at this, what would be the best way to actually link it up so you can physically walk there. I would think maybe a staircase down here and then kind of a wider path around the edge here. I don't know, but we can worry about that later. But for now, what I think I want to do is build a smaller platform for these guys up over here. Alright guys, so the Mini-Moo platform is actually done over there. I'm just converting the last of my normal fluid cows into Mini-Moos. Now, interesting to note, I had 2 of these liquid sunshines, right? And the first time I dropped one, it came out as a vibrant alloy Mini-Moo. I did not have a vibrant alloy cow, so that's interesting. I wonder if maybe not all of the different types of cows transfer over. Now, when I first did this, I was actually really nervous, thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to crash the server by introducing a fluid cow? And, maybe I was going to break it. Like, the mod's gone. I didn't know what was going on. But no, it's fine. Watch this. it just converts it real quick. And see, this is a sunshine mini moo. So I don't know what was going on with that other one. That was weird that it changed the type. Oh, you're still a quicksand, and you are still a cloud seed. Cool. All right. So what I've been doing is storing these guys in a gold chest over here. So yeah, as you can see, the mini moo platform is all done. It's very similar, of course, in design and structure, basically, to the chicken platform, just a lot smaller. I've got the clear glass on top, of course, to protect the little guys from lightning. We don't want them getting hurt, anything like that. And this setup, of course, is the same as we had down below. We've got a rancher here hanging out. If we click on him, he just went off. But once this goes down, you know, he'll milk the cows, and then this mechanical user will actually be using his buckets to pull that fluid directly out of the rancher and send it down below. Now, as you saw, I've got this chest with all of my cows in it, and actually we can hop down below to this maintenance area, and this energy conduit is running in from underneath the walkway as normal. And there is an Ender IO conduit there going up and down from the mechanical user. So this chest is receiving buckets of fluid from the mechanical user and then sending it down below. And this energy conduit is powering this capacitor bank, which is providing power to the rancher. And then this conduit just continues down. This is on insert only for the power, so it's not sharing power with anything below it. So this is strictly for the rancher. So that's pretty sweet. And down below, I can't actually go down. You know, that would be a good idea to do, maybe. Where is it? It's on this side. So we've got another elevator here, and this just takes me down to the room below. Now I am going to come through here, I think, and make this look a little bit nicer, since this is, I guess, now a permanent place. But yeah, so these pipes come up from underneath the ground. Well, this is all underground. So these guys come up and run around and just do the same thing before. The item conduits are now providing the fluid buckets to all the fluid tanks, just like they were before, and the energy conduit is now powering this capacitor, which is what's providing power to the meat packer and the redstone furnace. So all this is operating again. As you can see, there's some fluid coming down now. Yeah, this looks much smoother, much cleaner. I like it. So this, I just went with the standard wireframe factory blocks down the floor. I chiseled up some cobblestone into the cobblestone brick, which I think looks pretty sweet, pretty good for like an underground basement-y type feel, and just some spruce wood planks on the ceiling. Nothing super fancy. This is not an area where you're really going to be hanging out in, especially now that this is hooked up to the ME system. I should really only ever need to come down here when I need to add some more stuff. Speaking of which, I can add another row of 6 here. It would be a little cramped because I would have these cables kind of sticking out like to this side of them, so right here, so I'd have to come out. It'd be a little cramped, but I could, you know, it would be fine. It would work. And then, of course, I've got another, or room for another 2 rows, actually, just like this. Another section with the cables in between stuff. And even on this last row, there's 2 more spots right here. So, yeah, plenty of room to expand in here. And I think this area is looking pretty sweet now. And of course, doing that, I did have to adjust the hill a bit. I had to build it up slightly, although I don't know, you'd really, I mean, if you could tell, let me know. This line is a bit straight, but I think it's fine. I think it looks good. I think maybe it'll look even better once I eventually get rid of these sheeps here and can expand this bit out a bit more. But yeah, guys, that is the Mini Moo platform all done and dusted. All good to go. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know I had a fun time making it, figuring out the changes and stuff. If you guys did like it, please do leave me a like, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the area, or if you've got any suggestions on things I can do to improve what I've done, or things that you want to see me do in the future. If you're enjoying the content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Check out the other PrimeFools. Their links are in my description as always. And until next time, you guys, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.